Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that sits right at the intersection of modern technology and the unexplainable. It's a tale that will make you look twice at those everyday gadgets we fill our homes with, especially the ones meant to give us peace of mind. This story comes from a young couple, new parents who, like millions of others, relied on a baby monitor to keep a watchful eye on their newborn son. But what they experienced one night goes far beyond a simple crossed signal or technical glitch. It challenges our understanding of what's possible and leaves us with a profound sense of wonder and maybe even a little bit of a chill. So, grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's unravel this incredible event together. The couple, let's call them Mark and Sarah, had just brought their baby boy home. They were navigating the beautiful chaos of new parenthood, sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and that overwhelming love for their tiny human. To help them rest a little easier, they set up a standard baby monitor system. Now, it's really important to understand the specifics of their setup. The camera unit was in the baby's nursery, and it had a microphone to pick up the baby's sounds. The parent unit, which they kept in their bedroom, had a screen to show the video feed and a speaker to play the audio from the nursery. The key detail here is that the camera unit in the baby's room was a one-way device. It had a microphone to listen, but absolutely no speaker. It was physically incapable of producing any sound. Remember that? Because it's the cornerstone of this entire mystery. For the first few weeks, everything was normal. The monitor did its job, alerting them to the baby's cries and letting them watch him sleep peacefully. It became a trusted tool, a silent guardian in the corner of the nursery. Then came the night that changed everything. It was around 3 a.m, that deep, still hour when the world outside is quiet and the house is settled. Mark and Sarah were asleep when a sound from the parent unit on their nightstand stirred them. It wasn't the baby crying, it was a voice. A man's voice, low and gentle, whispering a simple, 2-word phrase, "Don't cry." They both sat bolt upright in bed, hearts pounding. Who was that? The voice was clear, calm, and undeniably male. Their first thought was a terrifying one, an intruder. Mark grabbed the nearest heavy object and crept out of the bedroom, his mind racing. He checked the nursery first. The door was closed, the room was silent, and the baby was fast asleep in his crib, not making a sound. He methodically searched the entire house, every closet, every corner, checking the locks on the doors and windows. Nothing. The house was secure, but there was no one there. Confused and shaken, they returned to their bedroom. They looked at the baby monitor, trying to make sense of it. Their next logical explanation was a cross signal. Maybe they were picking up a neighbor's monitor or a walkie-talkie or even a taxi radio. It's a common enough occurrence with analog devices. So, Mark, being a bit of a tech enthusiast, decided to investigate. He grabbed a signal scanner, a device that can detect and identify radio frequencies. He spent the next hour scanning every band, searching for any signal that could have interfered with their monitor. Found nothing. The baby monitor was operating on its designated secure frequency. There were no other strong signals nearby that could possibly account for the voice they heard. The mystery only deepened. This is where the story takes another bizarre turn. When the voice came through the monitor, they hadn't been looking at the screen. But their monitor had a recording function, saving short clips when it detected sound. They went back to find the exact moment, and there it was. At precisely 3:03 a.m., the timestamp for when the voice was heard, the video feed from the nursery camera did something inexplicable. For about 5 seconds, the image on the screen turned into a milky, white blur. It was like a thick fog had suddenly filled the lens, obscuring everything. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished, and the view of the nursery returned to normal. The audio track on the recording was even more chilling. There was the static, the white blur on screen, and underneath it all, that faint but clear whisper, "Don't cry, the baby." Visible before and after the blur, hadn't moved or made a sound. He was sleeping peacefully the entire time. So now they had two unexplainable phenomena. A voice from a device with no speaker, and a visual anomaly on the camera that happened at the exact same moment. They were completely stumped and, frankly, terrified. They unplugged the monitor for the rest of the night, too unnerved to use it. The next morning, exhausted and on edge, Sarah was talking to her mother-in-law, Mark's mom, on the phone. She recounted the strange events of the night, hoping for some reassurance, maybe a logical explanation she hadn't thought of. As Sarah finished the story, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Mark's mom finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. She asked Sarah a simple question: "Do you know what day it is today?" Sarah was confused. With a newborn, the days all blend together. She checked the calendar. And then a shiver ran down her spine that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with disbelief. It was her late father-in-law's birthday. Mark's dad had passed away from a sudden illness almost 30 years ago, long before Mark and Sarah had even met. He had never had the chance to meet his grandchild. The connection was immediate and overwhelming. Mark's dad had been known for his incredibly gentle and calming presence. He was a man who adored children. The phrase, "don't cry," spoken in a soothing whisper, was something his family could easily imagine him saying to his grandson. Could it be? Could the disembodied voice from the monitor, the voice that came from a speaker that didn't exist, have been him? Reaching across time and existence to comfort his grandson on what would have been his birthday? The couple was left grappling with an event that defied all rational explanation. Let's recap the facts. 1. A baby monitor with a one-way microphone, physically incapable of emitting sound, produced a man's voice. 2. A thorough scan for radio interference found no other signals that could have been the source. 3. At the exact moment the voice was heard, the camera feed inexplicably turned into a white, blurry haze. 4. The baby was not crying or in any distress. The comforting words were seemingly unprompted. And 5. This all happened on the birthday of the baby's deceased grandfather, a man he would never know, but whose presence was suddenly, impossibly felt. What do we make of this? Skeptics might still argue for a technical malfunction, a 1 in a billion fluke where some combination of electronic interference and hardware failure created an auditory hallucination. Perhaps the white blur on screen was a power surge or a sensor glitch. But how do you explain the timing? The specific words spoken, the coincidence of the date. It's a coincidence so profound it feels less like chance and more like a signature. For Mark and Sarah, the fear they initially felt was replaced by a sense of profound peace and wonder. They no longer saw the event as a haunting, but as a visit, a message of love from a grandfather to his grandson. They believed that for a few fleeting seconds, the veil between worlds thinned, and a loved one reached through to offer comfort. The white blur on the camera, they now think wasn't a glitch, but perhaps the visual representation of that energy, that presence, making itself known in the only way it could. This story forces us to consider that maybe, just maybe, our modern technology, our network of wires and signals, can sometimes act as an antenna for things we don't yet understand. Perhaps these devices, meant to connect us to each other in the physical world, can occasionally pick up echoes from somewhere else entirely. Whether you believe it was a ghost, a guardian angel, or a complex technical anomaly, you can't deny the incredible power of the story. It's a reminder that love is a force that might just be powerful enough to transcend even the final boundary of life and death. What do you guys think? Have you ever had a strange experience with a baby monitor or any other piece of tech? Let me know your theories and your own stories in the comments below. I read every single one. This is one of those tales that will stick with me for a long time, and it truly makes you wonder what else is out there, just beyond our perception. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video.